Welcome to the Curious Platypus. I'm Michael Edward, and today's piece is titled Singing Someone Else's Song. My friend and I routinely entertain ourselves by debating a wide variety of topics. Neither of us are what you'd call academics, but this has never stopped us, nor has it deterred us from having a whole lot of fun butchering some complex concept we heard on a podcast. However, of late, our debates have lost their sparkle. See, the problem is, we've known each other for so long that we know what thinkers, books, podcasts, and schools of thought we're drawing from when we make our arguments. And we've become so familiar with the origins of each other's ideas that we can smell them coming from a mile away. Which means our once enjoyable debates now conclude far quicker than we want them to. And while it's only a matter of time before we breathe new life into our deflated debates, what this experience made me think about is how many of the opinions I hold are not my own. When I started to consider how little I know and how little time I have spent forming my own views, it became alarmingly clear to me that a whole bunch of what I thought of as my opinions are really just me parroting someone else's ideas. In essence, I am nothing but a fraud who hijacks what smart people say, adopts these ideas as my own, and then starts swinging them around as if I know what I'm talking about. And the truth is, I don't think I'm alone in this behavior. And what I've been thinking is that one of the reasons many of our opinions are not our own is that we are all bombarded by a never-ending torrent of socially accepted norms. And this social conditioning is far more pervasive than many of us realize. In fact, it has infiltrated every part of our lives all the way down to our opinions about what foods we eat for breakfast. See, if you are of the opinion that bacon and eggs is a perfectly reasonable breakfast option, as I am, it might interest you to know that it was only 100 years ago that the whole idea of eating bacon and eggs for breakfast was constructed. And constructed is the right word, because as it so happens, the person responsible for ushering in this tasty new option was none other than Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays is known as the father of modern propaganda. This is because Bernays was Sigmund Freud's nephew, which means he knew how to use psychology to influence human behavior. And it was this knowledge that helped him craft advertising campaigns that turned the idea of bacon and eggs for brekkie into a socially accepted norm. Now, you're right. When it's all said and done, introducing a new breakfast option doesn't seem too devious. But the thing is, Bernays didn't always use his propaganda for good. Instead, one of his more sinister acts was helping tobacco companies encourage more women to start smoking. His first tactic was to promote the ideal of thinness by getting magazines and newspapers to advertise, quote, the special beauty of thin women, end quote. The idea was that this would persuade women to smoke more and eat less, and from all reports, it worked a treat. But we all know how companies are when it comes to money. They can never get enough. So a second campaign was launched, one which encouraged women to smoke by attaching the idea to the feminist movement. The 1929 slogan was aptly named Torches of Freedom. This time, Bernays paid a bunch of women to smoke while marching in the Easter Day parade in New York City. Once again, this tactic is reported to have worked a treat. As you might have guessed, Bernays' psychological tactics were quickly adopted by advertisers all over the world. And in the last 100 years, hordes of highly paid advertisers have gotten better and better at crafting ads that penetrate into the depths of our subconscious in ways that not only shape our opinions, but also reinforce many social norms most of us take for granted. And propaganda is not the only thing that shapes our opinions. Shaming, coercion, and violence work too. After all, society has never been very kind to those who stick their neck out and state an opinion that strays too far from the norm. Just ask Socrates, Galileo, or Joan of Arc how it worked out for them. Of course, Nowadays, the methods for pushing people to conform might not be as barbaric as the methods of old, but don't kid yourself. People have always gotten off on imposing their opinions on others, and they will always find new ways to do so. I mean, at this very moment, there are packs of virtue signaling vultures circling social media looking for their next victim. And when they find their prey, it will only take a few lacerating tweets before they are picking that cancelled corpse clean. I also realized that many of my so-called opinions are not my own simply because over the years I've just accepted so much of what I've been told without confirming these claims for myself. Let's take the theory of flat Earth, for example. Now let me be perfectly clear. I do not believe in flat Earth. But the reason I don't believe in it is not because of any of my own investigations. I mean, it's not like I've been to space. I haven't circumnavigated the globe, nor have I put a stick in the ground and played around with that whole casting the shadow experiment. No, I've done none of that shit. Instead, my belief that the Earth is round is based almost entirely on just accepting whatever the people with the microscope say. If they say it's round, then it must be round. And if they present photos that confirm that claim, then who am I to question the validity of such evidence? In fact, the biggest reason I believe the Earth is round is because I don't really see why the eggheads would lie about it. But again, that's not a reason that's grounded in any empirical evidence sourced on my behalf. It's just me blindly accepting other people's theories and then passing them off as my own. After what I just said about borrowing the theories of others, it seems pretty hypocritical of me to turn around and quote some smart dead guy to introduce my next point. But I'm going to do it anyway. See, the 17th century polymath Blaise Pascal once said, quote, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." End quote. It's stunning how apt this idea is for our current age. After all, so often the problem is not that people cannot form their own opinions. The problem is that people don't give themselves enough time to do so. In a world drowning in content, if we choose to, we never have to be alone with our thoughts. From the moment we wake up, we can shift from screen to screen and app to app, filling every moment with stimulation. And while there is admittedly a lot of cool shit to consume, this sort of ceaseless content consumption robs us of silence, which is unfortunate because it is through the type of quiet contemplation that Blaise Pascal mentioned that we can start to piece together what we actually think. The more I thought about this issue, the more reasons for its cause came to mind. And so to make sure my ideas weren't complete bogus, I decided to discuss them with my friend. We talked about how so much prescient stuff has already been said by thinkers of the past that it's hard not to regurgitate the opinions of others. We talked about how Google's all-knowing search bar made it a sin to utter the words, "I don't know." And we talked about how social media encouraged everyone to loudly proclaim their opinions about everything, which rendered the once admirable attitude of not having an opinion on everything an antiquated notion. And then, as we so often do, we went on a tangent, where we realized that there is actually a real benefit to acknowledging that many of the opinions we hold are not our own, as this enables us to let go of our old opinions when we are confronted with new information that better suits who we are now. After all, there is nothing worse than a parrot that never learns to sing a new song. But then again, that's just my opinion.